This is a detailed tutorial on how to dismantle a Generation 4 Ram 1500 door beyond the carrier plate. These are the basic tools to take off the cover plate. You need a Phillips screwdriver, a panel popper, and a T15 Torx. Okay, so you can take off this panel here. Pretty straightforward. And you're going to take off, pop this access panel here for your, oh, it went up in the corner, Phillips screwdriver to this screw. Pretty straightforward. Now that you've pulled this screw out here, you can go over to the panel retention screws here. They're pretty straightforward. T15 Torx, and I mean, they're just nylon or plastic. Pretty straightforward. You use your finger as on the back side in case it's just spinning, not pulling. And then once you've done that, you can pull the panel out just by taking your panel popper. You want to make sure you protect it. These guys are spring-loaded, it seems. Just kind of pull it out and then just reach in and grab it. Okay, now that you've pulled the 6 retention screws out and their little holders, come back to your handle here and use your panel popper and just pull this this access panel out. And then lastly, using that panel popper, go ahead and pull out your electrical. And there's 3, or actually 2 in the drivers. There's only 1 in the rear side, but passenger and driver both have, I believe, 2. There we go. Set that aside, and you're ready to pull the door cover off. And that's it for that. The carrier plate looks a little intimidating, but it's actually pretty straightforward. You've got 12 of these bolts here. I'll check the size here in just a second. Obviously, you got to pull your speaker out. That's a 3/16 socket, pretty straightforward. We've got to drop the window. And then on the edge of the door, you've got 3 Torx here. I'll check those sizes here in a second as well. And then you got to pull a couple pieces of linkage, which is pretty straightforward. And then you're ready to pull the door. Come down here where the light is. Let me know when you're ready. Oh. Okay. Pull the speaker, and hopefully the plastic retention clips don't pop. And one more. Alright. Okay. And you're going to hook your power back up because you need to drop the window. And when you drop the window, you're going to open up this big access panel here. When you drop that access panel, you see inside these 2, left and right is this retention clip. And if you slide over to the other side where the speaker housing is, down in there, you can also see it there as well. It's a little difficult to see, but you're going to do the same thing. It helps if you have 2 people. I've done it with just myself. It's a little cumbersome, but it can be done. Somebody needs to grab the window, or somebody needs to grab the window. And once you've removed the clips, you can kind of, on one side, you can then grab it from the window from the top, and then go to the other side and do the same thing. Now that you've removed the door cover, going inside this access panel here, you remove those 2 clips on both sides, and you'll notice that I've got screwdrivers there. I'm doing this by myself. So on the left hand side, I removed both the left and the right, and then I inserted this screwdriver to hold it in place, while I went over to the other side, did the same thing, and then I put screwdrivers in both spots so my hands are free. And then I can come up here, grab the window, and then secure it all the way to the top. At this point in time, you can remove these 12 10mm bolts. So I'll go ahead and do that. Now you're good after you remove these 12 bolts to go ahead and remove just this linkage. It's pretty straightforward. This brown piece, just pop it straight out towards yourself. Drop this down and away. That just clears the door linkage. From there, you want to start removing the electrical connections here. You've got, I think, 4 of them. So there's purple, white, black, and blue. But to remove the door, you also need to remove some of the clips retention. Since using a panel popper is straightforward to do that, you'll basically reverse the process when you put it all back on. And the wiring has a position memory, if you will, so you won't get lost when you try and put it all back, because it won't fit any other way. So there's one, and let's see, here's just a loop here, okay, and you got one inside the speaker well here. So that's necessary, because all of this is all linked and you won't be able to pull the door without it. So here's one right here, pretty big one, important one. Be careful not to clip the wires when you're taking it off, or you'll have a bigger problem. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. And yeah, inside the speaker well. Now you're going to remove all the remaining electrical connections. So this one's pretty straightforward. Just pull down on the red and then push the beige tab and pull that out. That's one. This one's pretty straightforward. And so you're pretty clear away from the wiring harness. But you can see inside this grommet here, you've got another connection. So I'll show you the detail here in just a minute about how we're going to remove that. And or sometimes you get lucky. I did on the passenger side, where I could just swing the whole door to the right and let it rest on my step here without having to completely dismantle the door. On the edge of the door, you've got 3 screws with 30 Torx is what you need. So go ahead and remove those. Okay. I'm inside the access panel, and the camera is facing the outer edge of the door. And highlighted there, although the light's really bad, is this red tab. Now what you do with the tab is you pull it down, just like with the lock, or sorry, the door handle here. It's a very similar situation. It's just 90 degrees in a different direction. But you must remove that to be able to remove the door, because it ties the door in at the top and you will not be able to remove it. Inside the door here is the actual lock actuator. The Torx that you remove from the edge of the door held it together. It's attached to a really strong piece of plastic, but that plastic can break, but it's malleable. You can maneuver it and remove the entire door accordingly. Okay, so this has 2 dowels that hold the door in place. One is right here in the center and at the top, and there's another one at the bottom. So you pull the door away at the top and up and out, and you just kind of maneuver the lock actuator, which is the piece that you freed up. And be careful not to pull too hard, but you can free this without having to dismantle the whole door. Just take your time, and it does come away. And you see I've got one more connection here that I need to remove. So again, you just pop it down and away, and your door is clear, and you can swing it down onto your, if you've got steps, you can swing it down so it's out of your way. Now the reason why I'm turning into this door is I'm putting Dynamat on it, and you can see it's really flimsy. It's got just 2 pieces of metal tape to kill the resonance. I'm going to put Dynamat on the whole thing. And that's it.